Hello, guys, and welcome back. I'm sharing a story today from a past client who bought their first investment property. So they bought their first investment property a couple months ago, and I called to check in, see how they're doing, and it was a really great conversation. Um, their investment property is flourishing, and I asked if I could share this with you guys to kind of give an idea of their story and what they've been able to accomplish with real estate investing, just to give you guys an idea in case you're listening to this and thinking about buying your first investment property and thinking about pulling that trigger. Um, so I'm gonna kind of lay out the whole story here. We met them almost a year ago, and at the time, it was a family of four. The father, husband, it was the only one working. Mom was a stay-at-home. Bought a home 10, 15 years ago, living in the home, paying down the debt. And at the time, the husband, father didn't really see a path to retirement, and or felt that if something happened to himself, that there'd be nothing for the family to be okay. So talked about buying an investment property to give the family something for retirement for himself, but also just in case something happened to him, that they could have something to provide and bring in family income. After a few months talking to him about this, going to different properties, and teaching him that the different processes, whether that's a BRRRR, a buy and hold, a flipping, a short-term rental, finally came down to a working strategy, and we found a property an hour outside of Halifax in one of the big areas outside of Halifax in the springtime. Got under contract at a good price, closed it, and in spring 2026. So at the time, they bought a vacant side-by-side duplex. It needed a few cosmetics, so like paint and a good cleaning, realistically, and an unfinished basement that could be renovated into a third unit. So when we bought the unit, we got the place vacant, which meant that the clients could get tenants in there right away to start producing cash flow. When I was talking with them, they were renting both sides of the duplex in fixed term leases, and they were pulling in so much rent that they were actually making $1,200 a month profit after all expenses, which, that's awesome. At the time of talking to them on the phone, they had gone to the municipality of where they lived to get a permit approval to do the third unit and add a third unit to be able to increase their income. The municipality approved all permits, so they are actually starting renovation on the third unit to finish that unit this week. So when they're done the third unit, they're looking to add another $1,200 to $1,300 in income, which will bring them to roughly $2,500 a month net in income that this property is generating. When they're done the third unit, we did a quick market analysis just to see what we're playing with here. Conservatively speaking, a third unit in that building would be adding $75,000 of equity for these guys to play with if they want to do something down the road. So suffice to say, they've gone from they're owning their first home. They paid that, like I said before, they paid that down over so many years. We had them pull out a line of credit, again, using the equity in their current home to do all this stuff. It paid for the down payment and closing costs of the investment property purchase, as well as paid for the renovations in the third unit. So we had to use equity. They didn't have that capital on hand, which allowed them to do this in the first place. To give an idea, talking to them a year ago, they were worried about retirement. They were worried about family in case the sole provider, something happened to them. Now they're looking at $2,500 a month in end of October, I think is when, by October is when I think they said they're going to have the third unit done. So $2,500 coming in net income from this investment property. They're going to increase the value by $75,000, roughly, give or take, based off of what we think they're doing with the property. all within a year of just taking action, taking the breath, and jumping. Because we find that most real estate investors who want to get into this never actually take the jump. And I just want to highlight this story to share that if you do, like, there are good properties out there, there are really successful stories out there. And to make this even better is when they're done the third unit and they have all that equity, they've actually booked a meeting with us for end of September, early October to put in plans in place to buy their second investment property, and they're aiming for spring of 2027. So going from no investments, knowing extra income coming in to, and he's going to let me, he said I'm allowed to share this. This family is close to replacing the income that he earns in a 40-hour-a-week job. Just to give an idea. It's not there all the way. He can't quit his job yet, but believing with the second purchase, potentially sometime next year, he may wait, but the second purchase, depending on how well that goes, could be close enough to replacing his income that he can move into real estate investing full time. We'll see. It just might not, the numbers may not work, but we're going to do our best to help him. But just in case you're thinking about buying your first investment property, this is the power of real estate investing. This is dramatically changed their life for the better. They're really excited to start going to the next renovation. We're going down to see what we're going to be going down to see them when the renovation's over. I just want to share that just in case you were ever thinking about buying your first investment property. All right. Have a good day. If you have any questions, let me know.